Everyone's kerfuffling.
Again, correct me if I'm wrong. My experience is, keys have always been an issue in offices, but also as much as more often than not, it's a simple error, which is they're tagged up incorrectly, or you've got two number 23s on the board, or number 23s put down on number 21, but the number tag has slipped out of the key ring. So just, in its most basic element, it feels to me that it's a solution from a genuine problem rather than a made up problem.
Yeah, like sometimes we do see a few of those, don't we? Where, let's be honest, you're trying to squint a little bit to see the use of the relevance of those to most agents.
Yeah.
Whereas I mean, initial thoughts there, Paul. I mean, for me, again, we always talk about this. Within literally a couple of screens, you can see this has been quite well thought out. You could see the actual physical panel. I must admit, I thought it was like a nuclear launch kind of thing going on behind him, or was a big Doctor Who fan. But actually, when you saw the panel on their UI matching back to that, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? And you can see the kind of the way that's been thought through quite clearly.
Yeah. It's very intuitive.
And the other thing we should just point out, by the looks of it, then obviously it's accessible on Chrome. He's doing it on there. So the nice thing there is anybody anywhere can gain full access to a full cloud-based system, which of course I know we shouldn't be particularly surprised at these days, but it's amazing how many solutions aren't still fully cloud-based.
Yeah, it does mean that if you were in a rush and you had to grab a set of keys, you could, as you walk to the car, get your mobile phone out and check the keys out. Say, "Hey, I've got them."
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the fact that you've got to ask somebody to say, "Check these keys out for me," or anything like that, because it's all on a web page. It makes it easy for that check-in, check-out process.
But also, as we're in this, work from home, or a proportion of our staff are working from home, and lots of businesses are splitting the teams into, office team, viewings and listings team, and then home team. And if somebody gets positive on COVID, that you just swap the teams in. What it really does well is that conversation in the office, which used to take place going, who's got keys for 1 Acacia Avenue, you can clearly see whether they're in, whether they're out before you leave your home to go and pick them up, or whatever you're doing, as opposed to driving to the office, going to the key cupboard, looking for them. It just gives you visibility of what's there up before you book the viewing. It might be that Simon's left them. He had a viewing there last night at 5 o'clock. I've got a 6 o'clock, but Simon's got 6:15. He's going to go somewhere else. It just gives me a little bit more insight.
And you can have the most robust technical solution in the world, but if you still don't have people working against you, either by not editing it or everything else, this obviously has the auto tag feature where as soon as you take it off, of course, it's registering that the key is missing at least. And as Paul said, because it's cloud-based, you're giving them every chance to at least do the right thing and log who it's out with and where. Just as a really simple point there, it's not allowing, it's almost like, okay, you could go and just check for the normal number and everything else, but it's even making it blindingly obvious so that there's going to be fewer human mistakes.
I really like it. It's very basic. It's very simple. It doesn't seem like there's lots of cost save and time save, but all of these little stuff they keep doing, which makes your lives easier, help avoid unnecessary mistakes, don't they? Or the embarrassment when you do turn up and pretend the keys are damaged rather than the wrong set you've picked up.
But not every solution, Rich, does it? It has to be about AI or blockchain, all this really clever stuff. So often those ones that, in my experience, we've seen it everywhere, but in this industry are, it's so obvious. Why would you not have done it that way? And it's bringing together that technology in a really simplistic fashion.
Yeah, and it's also, in my opinion, is it enables you to audit very quickly, doesn't it? How many agents do? And in my 24 years of agency, unless there was a real problem where we may have audited, how often do you audit you've got all of your keys there? And it's completion day where the vendor turns up for their keys on what's supposed to be a really great moment of happiness. We've got our dream home, and you spend half an hour whispering out of the back because you can't find the key.
Yeah.
Because
How many review sites do you see for estate agents where keys are mentioned in there as being an issue? It's a pretty recurring theme, isn't it?
yeah, and this enables anybody to just, whether it's a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, to just look at what's missing and have a conversation in the, even if it's a morning meeting, right, there's 7 blue tags here. Who's got the keys for X, Y, and Z? Oh, yeah, they're in my dashboard because I did a viewing at 6:15, or, so-and-so's got the keys because they did a viewing there last night, but they're on a day off in lieu today and we haven't got the keys. So let's phone them now at 8:30 in the morning. They can drop them back in rather than phoning them at 2:45 because we've got a viewing there at 3:00.
It must be nice for anyone looking at this as well. What did they say there? Was it 35 panels was their biggest agent? I mean,
13, I think he said, didn't he?
I thought I heard you say, well, either way, though, you've got scalability in there, haven't you?
Yeah.
I know it doesn't happen very often, but if your branch was broken into and somebody pinched all the keys, just taking one off, triggering an alarm noise would suddenly cause the burglar to panic.
I was going to say it just before, Paul. I didn't know whether I was overstretching it. Where, just that ability to, if suddenly in the middle of the night you suddenly started getting text messages and emails coming through saying that, your key. Well, it's like, well, who's in the office or what's happening there? It's not the reason to buy it, but it certainly would be a nice beneficial peace of mind, wouldn't it, to have that in place?
Yeah. If you suddenly had 5 emails at 3 a.m. because someone had taken off 5 keys and you weren't expecting it, you'd be straight on the phone. 999. My office has been broken into.
But would you use it as a bit of your valuation pitch? If you were going around, whether that's a tenant, whether it's a landlord, whether it's a vendor, whether or not you're going to act on it, by demonstrating that you've got the process in place where if you are broken into and it takes their key, which has got all of their assets in it and their kids and all the rest of it, that you're going to get a text message which alerts you and then you'll alert them.
Yeah.
Whether you do it or not, it could form part of a valuation pitch.
You're showing best practice, aren't you? You're showing your thoughts about it, and more importantly, you're more than likely, if your competitors don't have this kit, going to catch them out, aren't you? For a good time, they're not going to know how to respond to that, are they? Why are they saying this? Why are we being asked this?
It's amazing. I'm really loving the demo because all the questions I'd written down beforehand and wrote down as the demo's gone on is answering. So it's not only is it a good demo, it's a really simple and good system. I'd actually written down on here, I think it'd be wonderful if you had an app so you could grab a key, hold the key next to your phone, and not just automatically check it out. And this is so close to that, isn't it? Being able to scan the key and you had the reserve button on there, so the contractor or anybody could just reserve that key and take it out with them. So it's almost there as a process. It is so simple though to use.
And he also mentioned GPS tracking, didn't he?
Well, that was interesting. So a couple of one of the referred actually Milton over to an agent, quite a large agent, who was absolutely certain that was what they wanted to have in there. What they Milton, as he's highlighted, didn't have it in straight away, but they were blown away enough by the actual what it could do at the moment, and then knowing that they were going down this route of developing it. I mean, that's going to be the whole kit, isn't it? When it's there together, that's got all that kind of native functionality you expect almost from a phone and an app on your phone in this arena, isn't it?
In my opinion, you're never going to stop that, negotiator going home with the keys in the pockets, putting the keys in the dashboard of the car. You're never going to stop that. But if it's got a GPS where you can go, right, we know that Paul had the viewing and Paul's got the keys because it's showing up on a GPS, in the car park or wherever it may be, it's just very easy to resolve. I'm sure there's a lot more organised agents than I ever was. But what I can tell you is, on that 3:30 viewing, you're on the phone at 15:15, it's 10 minutes away, you're running into the key room. If that key is not there, you're going to be late. If that key is not on the tag, you're not going to make your viewing. When that vendor comes in on the morning of completion, and I'm sure lots of agents have got great processes for it now, but it was only at the point they turned up and went, hi, it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith coming to collect the key for 1 Acacia Avenue, where you went out the back and went, shit, Anybody know where his key is? Who had it last on the viewing 4 months ago?
But did you notice on the software demo earlier, there was a reservation tab, so you could reserve a key. So I don't know if the software links to the CRM or anything like that. But if you know you've got a viewing and you're going to need the keys, you could link it to your diary and reserve the keys for that point. Equally, if you've got a withdrawal coming up or a completion, you could reserve the keys so that they should be in the panel for that time.
What would be really sorry, carry on, Simon.
I was just going to say is that my understanding is that they were talking to the CRM companies, but I don't think it was there at the moment. But we'll get an update on that to put on the back of the video when we share it to get some clarity.
What would be really interesting, and I haven't seen it, but I may have missed it, is if you could put a length of time that you're likely to have the keys out for. Because it's all very well me taking the keys at 10 o'clock for a 10 o'clock viewing. Paul looks at the diary and there isn't anything in there for 10 o'clock, so he presumes the keys are going to be available. But if I've got a run of appointments after that, the chances are I'm not going to drop them back. So if you could put a period of time, I'm going to have these keys for 8 hours. It just alerts Paul to the fact that the keys aren't there, and if he needs them urgently, he needs to give me a call.
Yeah, particularly when you think about lettings viewings. Often with lettings viewings, the viewers, let's say you arrange to meet, you're in an urban area, you arrange to meet the applicant who's going to view the properties. You go and show them one property, and prior to the appointment, you might say, can you give me an hour? If you get an hour off them, then you know you can show them 3 properties in that time. And they've booked to see the first one. Now, over that first 20 minutes where you're showing them the first property, you get a feel for what they like, what they don't like, and you know from your stock, well, if they like these things, they're really likely to like this second property. So if you've got half a dozen keys in your car, where you can just take them straight to that second property and let them in, then that's a really good experience, because it shows that you're paying attention, that you're showing them the properties that they're likely to want to rent, and equally it saves a lot of time. This allows you on a morning to say, right, I'm going to those 7 properties, chances are I'm going to need these 20 sets of keys. You grab them and you go, and equally you can find your keys quickly with the app. So it's just a really simple way of working with any type of agency business, no matter how they run.
But without that level of chaos that there would have been previously.
Yeah. If I've got 20 sets of keys in the car and someone says, can you give me the keys for number 7 Acacia Avenue? It's like, oh, bloody hell, which one's that? With this, just go, right, yep, that's it, there you go.
In terms of big tick, in terms of just organisation, security, again, doing more than you've got in any other solution I've seen around in the marketplace. Yes, a nice to have would of course be the CRM integration. That's possible with the open APIs and things like Repix Foundation's platform. So we'll get an update. Something to remember, by the way, guys, if you're watching this, always go and have a look on the landing page of every single supplier. If you're looking at them, there is an integrations tab there. We do encourage our partners to make sure they don't just put who they integrate with, but explain a little bit about the integration as well. So that's always a nice little tip, because just to make sure it works with your packages, obviously we appreciate a real positive there. What else do you take from it, guys? I mean, the normal, I suppose. If you've got a larger lettings operation, the benefits are going to be scaled and multiplied accordingly, aren't they?
Easy for me to say, not running a business, not having the challenges of P&L, but for me at that price point, why wouldn't you? What's the downside to it?
And so just looking at the price point again for this, so my understanding is there's a setup fee and then you're paying, do you know what the price is, Rich, just on an ongoing basis?
There's definitely a Kerfuffle deal. I believe it's a one-off fee for the panel.
Yep.
And then there's a monthly subscription fee, and I think there's a Kerfuffle deal, but I think it's certainly under £50 a month.
Okay.
For each panel.
For each panel. And do we know how many keys they have in the panel? Did he indicate that?
120.
120. Okay, right. So there you get. As all with us, don't take us there. We dip in and out. So go and have a chat with Milton about it. I'm absolutely certain he'll be happy to talk in terms of the commercials, and of course, shout your pink Kerfuffle credentials to get that extra special deal as well there. But yeah, if you're looking at a solution anyway to get the most efficient and organised you possibly can be. Again, I think this has to be on the list. Well, I'm going to introduce a new summary for this 3-minute Proptech baby. I'm a big fan of Caesar and other despots. Okay, so can we have on the count of 3, 2, 1 a thumbs up or a thumbs down for this particular live or die? Okay, 3, 2, 1 on KeyWhere. Nice one. There we are.
Everyone's kerfuffling.